Mitch McConnell is not the most charismatic guy in Washington. I think we can all agree on that. I think even he would agree on that. But he's always had a reputation as a master legislative tactician. Now that's under attack in the wake of the implosion of the Senate health care bill. Now, it seems to me that McConnell knows the ways of the Senate, knows how to count votes, essentially was put in an impossible position trying to get to 50 votes, could only lose 2, with an incredibly unpopular bill. I mean, look at the polls. This thing is 20% or under. That also kind of embodies the contradictions and the deep divide within his Republican Party. That is, you know, the conservatives thought this bill didn't go far enough in dismantling Obamacare. The moderates thought it went too far and would kick millions of people off the insurance rolls and curtail Medicaid to an unacceptable extent. So even Houdini might not be able to pull this rabbit out of the hat. And also he had to work with President Trump, who had his own vision of the bill that didn't, you know, that I think, remember when Trump privately called the House bill too mean? He wanted a bill that was somehow going to satisfy the right, but was not going to inflict too much pain on too many people and at the same time not cause too much. So again, you know, McConnell may have made some missteps here, but it's interesting the way the press is really unloading on him. And look, if the bill had passed, there'd be a lot of stories saying Mitch McConnell is a genius. So that's what happens when you're in a leadership position. You have to take the hit. You even have some people like conservative blogger Eric Erickson calling on McConnell to resign. This reminds me of what happened with John Boehner when he couldn't get his caucus to go along when he was House Speaker. Ultimately, he did step down, and then Paul Ryan faced some of the same problems. What's fascinating, though, is the split of conservative opinion because, for example, many of the commentators on Fox News, Sean Hannity, for instance, you know, just utterly unloading on the congressional Republicans for failing to keep their promise. I mean, for 7 years, they have talked about repealing and replacing Obamacare. They took dozens and dozens of votes when it was easy, when it was cheap, because Barack Obama was in the White House, nothing was ever going to get through. Now suddenly it's very hard because President Trump is willing to sign a bill, and now many Republicans scared of the real world consequences. Now, I know it's not over yet. The president had McConnell and most of the GOP caucus over to the White House for lunch yesterday. McConnell says he's going to try again with a clean repeal vote, you know, repeal now, replace sometime in the future. It's kind of kicking the can down the road. I don't even know if he can get the votes for that. But again, you have people like Sean Hannity saying it's all the Republicans' fault. They're not keeping their promise. They should do what they told the voters they're going to do, or they should go home. At the same time, many of them not blaming President Trump, who, after all, is the field general here. He left a lot of the legislative strategy to McConnell. He did do some arm twisting, but he didn't give any major televised speech, for example, about the bill. But now he seems fired up, trying to salvage this, knowing full well that this is and would be portrayed as major setback, given that they've spent the last 6 months on this and have come up empty. Passed the House, hasn't passed the Senate, may never pass the Senate. So, you know, I'm sure McConnell, as a veteran lawmaker, you know, knows he's got to take his lumps on this sort of thing. If they can turn it around, then there'll be a whole new wave of stories. But it seems to me when you single out, look, if you're president or majority leader, you're going to take the hit. But the fact is, you have a bill that no matter how much they tinkered and tweaked, they couldn't come up with something that would satisfy both sides. That's the way the legislative process works, or it doesn't work. But in our winners and losers media culture, somebody's got to be designated the loser. And right now, McConnell seems to have won that unwanted prize.